Welcome to the Grow Renaissance podcast. Let's nourish the world.
All right, welcome back to Pasture Prime Time, where we explore the ideas, people, practices shaping the future of agriculture and that elusive regenerative system that we all talk about. Today, my co-host Amanda Smith and I are joined by some new friends all the way from Texas, Chad and Tjasa from TeraGanix. And TeraGanix is a company that they started that's restoring soil health, farm profitability through biological solutions for a regenerative future. I've used regenerative twice in the intro here, so we've got a lot to talk about and peeling the onion on that word.
Yeah.
Tjasa, Chad, so great to have you here today. I'd really love to hear what got you started on building your own agribusiness.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, seriously, Neil and Amanda, thanks. Well, we have a diverse background. So myself, primarily a finance background, and at the peak of that career, I was doing restructuring in a management consulting firm for the private equity world.
Yeah.
My dad pulled me aside. He said he didn't like hanging out with me anymore. You're my best friend, but
Too intense.
man, it got pretty hairy there. But made it out, and my dad's friend and I set out to buy TeraGanix, and TeraGanix had a ridiculous amount of things that it did, and it didn't really have too much in way of focus, and that was the hardest thing to overcome. And so the things that my former business partner was really good at was the marketing component, and we leverage a lot of what we learned from him. He's a great guy, but it just wasn't working. And so Tjasa came on board to help build out the commercial agriculture section, and we subsequently got married. And so we had a hard decision of like, okay, now it's our company. Do we want to reinvest and quadruple, quintuple really down and take TeraGanix all the way on the agriculture space?
So once I joined the team to help the commercial agriculture part, and once we kind of like saw, okay, we can do this, we can grow this business, we're doing so much good. And we realized, but it's gonna take some time to get there, right? And it's gonna take some money to cash flow it to get there. So we're making a real hard family decision at that point, because we were already married, and it was our family decision. Do we sell our house and just say, you know what, this is too hard, let's just go on a boat for 6 months and have fun and sail around the world? Or do we really, really believe in this so much that we're willing to put all of our savings, all the money from selling the house in, and grow the business? And we decided to do that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's great conviction. I love that.
And how we got ourselves on this show with Neil and Amanda is Amanda and some of the folks that she represents and is part of shares this common ethos that is extremely elusive and rare in regenerative.
Yeah.
We are very incognito regenerative. My issue with the word regenerative is it allows for a number of issues, but it allows for I'll put it differently. When I was younger, there was the pastor that said, "Don't be too heavenly minded that you're no earthly good." And I feel like that's a trap that regenerative can get caught in.
Yep.
But because of our disciplines, I heard a nun these nuns run these like $1 billion Catholic hospitals say no margin, no mission. And so that's always stuck with us, me. And everything that we do is very tailored around, a regenerative approach to how you are making money, and have that cascade down the operation, right? So we're chasing regenerative practices, but really in the name of making a more economically viable way to farm.
Yeah.
So we fully believe in the ecosystems can run themselves, and like that's the point of regenerative, right? So that ecosystem, the nature is able to run itself, and we're kind of just the stewards of it, kind of like helping and managing it. But the word can sometimes in the space put a lot of pressure on being perfect, and you just can't get from 0 to 100 overnight. And then there's not a lot of tools in between of pressure to just get there, and it can put a lot of people out of business because you can't just flip the switch. So we feel like we are kind of like that bridge between conventional farming and the fact that it needs to be profitable at the end of the day, because it's not sustainable if it's not profitable. Because if you can't survive, if you can't put food on the table for your family, if you can't pay your suppliers, your debt, your loans, then it's not sustainable. So we're trying to make that bridge between, let's slowly do, input reductions. So it's both regenerative, slowly, and let's be reactive to see, where do we need to plug a hole? And also, like, with that, we're making the farm profitable. And that's kind of like, it's kind of where we're at. And it has to be scalable. I mean, we have 900 acres that are being farmed in US, and if you're farming a few thousand acres at a time, it's very different than 100 acres at a time, right? So like regenerative looks different there, and there's got to be tools to help those guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So many farmers have so much stress on them already today. And it just breaks my heart every time I hear the story that they're losing these generational farms. Has to be something we can do. And you're right on the money on that. They need the solutions, but they also have to be able to afford the solutions and keep it going long enough to start to see that light at the end of the tunnel. And really at the end of the day, we all know that the solutions need to change. The solutions need to change, but how do we do that? And that was one of the things that I first fell in love with you guys for, as I saw that true attention being given to what's the actual way to make this happen, that we can bring these guys along. So I love what you're doing with that. You've got some pretty phenomenal products that you guys use as well, or sell to your clients to help make that happen. Do you guys want to share anything about that?
Instead of just the products too, let's talk about the solutions, because
Let's do it.
as we're also expanding, and part of the reason why we are talking with you, Amanda, in separate conversations is there's a lot of great products, and like, we represent some fantastic products, but screw that. Let's just talk about how to achieve outcomes, because I think you guys are going to be a significant part of that.
We're focused more than on products, and like we're focused on outcomes. Even when we talk to our farmers, we see what they need, and we present them the solution, and we barely mention what product or what service is going to deliver that, because we're so much focused on solution, is like, how do we get you healthier, how do we get you profitable?
Okay, without further ado, the solutions. What's that mean?
But actually, before we dive into solutions, I want to back up a little bit. Assessments. I've always taken this approach that when we're dealing with farmers, it's an assessment solution sales. What kind of assessments do you do to sort of quantify the solutions you're going to propose? Are you using Haney tests, soil sampling? Are you doing SAP testing? Explain some of that, because I truly believe that good solutions come because we have a good understanding of the assessment that we've taken.
Great question.
Good question. We go completely different direction. You can take it. Yeah.
I'm going to answer that. I'm going to counter question. Can I counter question?
Yeah, of course you can.
How accurate do you think those tests are, and how reflective?
I'm a big fan of SAP testing in season. I think baseline Haney test and PLFA is great to give you a benchmark where you can sort of guide the needle. I think a lot of soil testing, when it's high combustion heat tested, it sort of removes the quantifiable nature of what we're actually looking for. And so there's a few labs that I think are doing some really neat things. In general, to answer your question succinctly, I'd say they're about 60 to 70% accurate, but really it's a benchmark of which we can build from. However, the SAP testing is really giving us, at least me, when I start looking at it, the sort of in-season timing of how to have corrective actions as Mother Nature does what Mother Nature does, and a key indicator of what's going in below the soil. So the biologicals, the microbiome that can or cannot be working the way we want it to.
That's exactly very, very similar to what we think too, is as we get very aggressive, then we start wanting to measure SAP. and just give everybody comfort that what we're doing here is extremely aggressive. So let's just make sure we're staying on track, to your point.
But our real assessment doesn't start there. It starts with, oh, so you're getting a 200 bushel corn? Great. What's the profit? What's your cost structure? Like, how does that look like? Are you going to keep your farm this year? Those are the real problems that we deal with.
That's a good point, yeah.
And then we look at that, and then we're like, okay, so this is how much you're spending on nitrogen. This is how much you're spending on potassium. This is how much you're spending on this and this and this and this. We look at that and we say, hey, if we reduce these inputs, we can get you 10% to your bottom line this first year.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. $50, $100 an acre on these big commercial farms. It's a different conversation if we're talking orchards, California. Okay, let's focus on Midwest right now. Let's say ground crops. $50, $100 can be, I'm gonna lose or I'm gonna keep the generational farm this year. I'm gonna be able to pay my suppliers. I'm gonna be able to pay the loan I took last year for, I don't know, a tractor, whatever, for the land, right? That's where we start. And then we don't even have to talk about soil health. You know why? Because once you reduce nitrogen, once you reduce potassium, once you reduce all of these things, you know what they're going to see 2 years down the road once they put those microbes in the soil? They're going to come back without any tests, and they're going to say, hey, my roots are longer. I had better drought resistance this year. I have worms in my soil again. Hey, the water that was standing on my ground for 14 days now actually goes in like 3 days.
And the reason why we're taking it a different direction is because the solution is a different direction. The key outcome that most every regenerative company ends up going towards is soil health and having your soil pick up those nutrients. Our flagship protocols are reducing nitrogen. 50% is conservative. Then we start to push the needle. Then we're starting to
to look at the soil.
And so you're doing that with biologicals? Is that a major? So this year being, every year is a unique year in agriculture, but this year being geopolitically interesting on the constraint of nitrogen availability, let's just put it that way, the reduction of nitrogen fertilizer. There's a lot of guys looking at biologicals as a gap fill to the aerobic stressors that are in the soil prior to seeding or even during seeding. Love to hear a little bit about that. Is that something that you're taking advantage of this year in terms of getting more biological opportunity because people are thinking about nitrogen inputs differently?
Yeah. Our nitrogen reduction that Chad mentioned was our flagship protocol for the past 4 years. And yes, absolutely. This is the year that is wanted, needed. More than the past 4 years.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say too. So quickly, like so that this nitro is what it's called. We are, the simplest way to describe it is we are replicating the ground cycle above ground and foliar feeding it. So we're digesting common, cheap nitrogen sources into those ammonium nitrates, amino acids, foliar feeding it at peak demands. That's what we're doing. And so that's why we kind of skip over a bit of the soil tests, and then we have a conservative, like we can reduce it 50%. And there are guys that are, should be putting on 100 pounds and they can afford 20. So obviously at some point this mold breaks, but generally 50%.
And so when you're dealing with a conventional farmer, Midwest being a great example, there's these wonderful things called nitrogen stabilizers. Guys that are, really intent on their program being set up with their application that they've got from their retailer, and no knock to them, they're caught in the cycle. I'd love to hear your conversation around where biologicals or where your solutions, let's call it that, come in with regards to nutrient. Because it's my belief, if you're going to put nitrogen down, if you're in that cogwheel, you should be mandated to put a nitrogen stabilizer down. It should be mandated. But I like what you're talking about in the reduction through some of the other solution options. So just love to hear some of the agronomic conversation around that.
Nitrogen stabilizers still have a gap. So what they're doing is they're reducing the loss that happens in the soil. Like not as much converts to ammonia and volatiles, not as much converts from ammonium to nitrates and then leaches. So they're doing that. We're taking this step forward. Like even ammonium and nitrates that are absorbable by by crops still need to convert to amino acids once they're in there, and the plant's still using a lot of energy there. And even like you can use a little bit less of your nitrogen with the stabilizer, you're still putting down pretty big portion to reach those units. So what we're doing is we're actually using biologicals to straight convert it to amino acids. Let's bypass everything, all of that conversion, all of the nitrogen fixation, everything straight to amino acids, foliar feeded. It's almost 10 times more effective when we use this protocol than any unit of nitrogen that you put down in the soil with or without stabilizer. So that's what we're doing, straight amino acids, foliar feeded, straight goes in as a building block into the plant, peak nitrogen demand to do that. And also what we're doing with that is we're getting nitrates out of soil, and you want that. Like, we want those nitrates out of soil. You don't need it there. It's actually getting your potassium bill up too, because when nitrate starts leaching, they're pulling all of that down. They're pulling calcium down. They're pulling magnesium down. We see that in our, like, the nutrient deficiency of our crops and our people. They're consuming that. You can see that, and nitrates are actually pulling all of that down, which means your bill for micronutrients goes up. Your bill for potassium goes up. It all works in balance, and we don't really talk about that year one. Like I said before, right? Let's just talk about the fact that you're gonna actually make money this year and not lose money, and then you will see it. You will see it in the soil. You will see it. The first guys that came back saying, "Hey, we are actually seeing nutrient or like protein value better in the crop, higher nutrient density," were the pasture guy, the hay guys, because they're like, "Hey, I added extra cattle, like extra heads." And I am feeding them with the same amount as last year, and that's how I'm feeding them less. They're eating less. They're doing really well because we started like realizing, it's actually affecting the nutrient density.
Amazing.
And those were the first guys that gave us that feedback. Was basically pasture cattle farmers.
And so that's how we really bypassed like a lower commitment of like, we don't need 50 Haney tests on an acre. I know it's obviously gross exaggeration, but so like the real start to that journey is just backing off. So 50% nitrogen. We don't do SAP for that, or we don't necessarily
need it.
Mandate. Whatever you want to call it. And then my next favorite one is the herbicide reduction protocol.
Perfect.
Yeah, right? Like, let's start to reduce the load, and there's ROI on it. And then it's, wow, now I have budget to actually start to give a crap about my soil because my family can eat.
Yeah.
It's like taking the most urgent need and filling that gap, getting them some peace of mind, giving them some capital that they can actually then utilize to put into now improving the overall ecosystem.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And just by reducing those chemicals, if we call them that way, you will already see in a couple of years, you will see the biology changing without even adding any microbes in the soil. You can already see the crop, the soil changing.
Yeah.
And then when they have that budget, when they see it working, when they trust the biology can do something for them, they can breed again, that's when you're like, okay, now let's address, and we don't even have to say it, they all want to do it at that point. Now let's address the soil health. Then we go into more like playing with like balance and all of that, and then would be time for testing, when you're like really pushing the limit and you really want to be, then you have to be a little bit reactive too, right? Seeing how everything's responding, how soil crop is responding when you're going with 3-4 protocols at the same time, not just one reduction.
Yeah.
You got to test that balance because it's got to be calibrated. That one has to be calibrated to your soil conditions and all of that. But the input reductions, doesn't matter what how your soil looks like.
Because we don't even know what the baseline is yet.
We don't even know what the baseline is yet, right? And we know it works because it's foliar fed. It just works. So let's see how soil reacts, and then we start testing.
Yeah. I love everything that you're saying. because I've lived it, I've walked it, not your products, but doing things in different ways. One of the things I just want to pick the thread on, you talked about your producers that are using your products, and their acceptance of the biologicals or your solution offering. Where was that aha moment in the education around what you're providing in terms of biologicals? Because there's still this big swath of individuals, producers, which I love you all, by the way, who believe that biologicals are nothing more than more bugs in a jug, and we got to stick to that traditional program that is given to us by our retails. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit about that paradigm shift that
Sure.
you're taking your part
Yep.
producers through.
That one's so easy. Actually, I run into that problem as more arguably in Central California than we do across the Midwest, because there's a lot of mediocre biologic companies, and then there are some fantastic ones that we talk about, and
There's
love
a ton.
them.
There's probably a new one coming out of Davies, California, like every other week.
Yeah. And like I've heard in Central California, like, oh well, we've tried a biologic, we're not going to do it again. And that's what happens if you go, for the soil, and then there are some guys that are ready, and then you're playing the readiness principle of okay, it's just the right time for everybody.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about biologics that much. It's not. It's nitro. It's a biofertilizer. It's
I like it.
and you still don't believe in microbes. They just saved you $50 to $100 an acre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Riddle me that. I don't know. And it's a different paradigm where it's like, okay, let's stop being so focused on terminology, and let's be focused on outcome. And if you're really worried about this, like, we'll show you a whole freaking roster of people that we've done this for. So argue that.
Yeah.
And I love that, by the way. And I think that's the right approach, which is focus less on terminology. And it's the same thing with soil health. I actually don't like the word soil health. I use soil functionality because
I like that.
the function of the soil. It's not the health of the soil. But we get caught up on these terms: regenerative, biodynamic. Sometimes I call myself an agroecologist. Really they're terms, but we need to actually be boots on the ground and see some outcomes and start moving the needle in a different direction. When it comes to thinking about education and handling of products, the product solutions I'm gathering that you have are going to be less carcinogenic, less environmentally harmful, and also less toxic to humans. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about just even the handling of products on farm and how that can change human health, human functionality as we go about, because there's a lot of unfortunate side effects with the current programs that are out there.
One of my favorite party tricks is when we get on, and and I always regret this. I'll tell you, you'll probably pick up why I immediately regret this. But we get on a field, and we'll pour out some of the activated microbes, and I'll drink it, just to kind of be like, what else can you do that with? And I immediately regret it. Can you guess why? So what was in that tote before? What was in that tank? Every time I'm like, I'm such an idiot.
Residual by effect.
That was a bad idea, man.
So we don't trust the tank. We trust our
Yeah.
product.
I guess that's the takeaway.
We didn't trust the choices before that product came in.
I get caught up in the moment.
I love it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, honestly, like, even not going too deep into this, because it can be controversial topic for a lot of people, but if you are really interested to know the side effects, go and do your own research, searching two things. One is pull up the map of where glyphosate is being sprayed around the country, and the more dense areas population, and then pull up the map of the cancer rates of specifically non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and just put them one on top of the other, and then think about the side effects.
Yeah.
I don't know. We need to talk more about it.
Peel the onion on that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great task for everyone, because there's a lot of conversation these days, especially with some of the MAHA conversations. Do your own homework on that and research, and certainly take Tjasa's challenge on that.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Like, as much as I love the Maha movement, yeah, we all want better, healthier food. I want our farmers to handle better and healthier stuff and not be sick. They're the ones that are basically the sickest with that. Like, I honestly, weekly, we have a conversation with somebody who's saying, well, it's probably my last year. Literally not my last year farming, it's my last year. I have a stage 4 cancer. Still working that land. Still working for that farm, still working with their animals, you know, like knowing, hey, it's my last year, still helping, still doing their job. It's incredible. So like, yes, they are the ones on the receiving end of those chemicals, but again, we can't just flip the switch. Like they need, like they are in a system that it was designed like this. It was designed like this. They couldn't do anything. You can't do anything differently. Like, for example, you get this seed, you got to treat it exactly with the chemicals that they give you. Otherwise, and then insurance. If you don't follow the script, if you don't follow the protocol, you can have problems getting insurance and all of those things. Like they are caught in between, and really we have to come up with solutions that are going to slowly help them get there. We cannot just say, yeah, we're going to ban glyphosate overnight. Well, how is that going to go? It's not going to go well. There has to be a period,
an off-ramp,
and a tools to do that. You got to have tools to do that. That's where
that's where we are.
That's where we are.
Off-ramp.
Love that.
Off-ramp.
Yeah, I love that. I've always said this. I mean, it really is like a lot of these lives are truly on life support today. Like exactly like you just said, they have to have these things in order to get anything at all. And you just pull those away, the whole system would collapse. Doesn't mean it's a workable system, doesn't mean that the people are healthy or that it's good for anything, but that is the circumstances that they're currently caught up in. So how do we successfully start to bridge them over from this? And I love what you guys are doing because you found a way.
Yeah. Let's change track a little bit here. When we think about the supply chain right now, as it relates to your manufacturing and all the constraints that are happening globally in our own nation and maybe even our own state, how are you guys handling it all? How is it hitting you, not hitting you, affecting you?
I mean, it's certainly gotten busier for us. Yeah, I mean, it's been a very, very busy year. That being said, people are going to do what they're going to do. And it becomes a tough thing. Here's what I would say. If we rewind the clock, most people know that there's an issue and it's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. And this year, I would say the amount of farmers that came on and let's say 10,000 acres and then just applied this protocol across 10,000 acres has been abnormally high. And my feedback is maybe don't wait until the gun's to your head. Like even if you're not a broken farm and it is working for you, supply chain is another thing that's like it's in my risk bucket, right? And it's something you just don't think about until this happens, right? Where we're at. The time to really trial something small and run parallel trials and then ramp it up was 3 years ago. And now you're stuck today with a tough decision and having to, from your perspective, make a big risk. When Nutrien, and I'm not going to use the names. I'm sorry. Retract. Cut that out. When big chemical companies are never going to promote things that cut into their margin. And if they do, they're going to do it off the back of selling you something else.
Yeah.
So this model really only works as a replacement for a smaller company to effectively take market share. It will never be rolled out by big companies, and they will fight it tooth and nail because that's how the money is incented to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
As it relates to supply chain, we had one farmer that sold their fertilizer back
to their supplier because they didn't get enough fertilizer for others. So he made money selling it back with our protocol.
Wow.
That one.
Nice.
It's so much less.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
But it was so close to planting And in Central California, they're finishing this month any applications on almonds, and most of the nitrogen is done for the year. I think the supply chain effects are really going to be felt. They're going to be felt next season.
I agree. We feel like the pinch is on now, but just there's more coming.
And if you're asking how it's affecting us, it's really not. We're fully domestic. I mean, we have domestic supply chain. The only thing that's really affecting our business is just transportation costs are insane.
Yeah.
Even domestically, and they've been insane since 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And we are actively working towards, they're doing some things and mixing it on the side so that we can send concentrated stuff so they're not paying for shipping as much and so on. And we're really working towards making this as a savings protocol. Like real, not input reduction, and then you pay the same amount for a product to replace it with what Chad was saying before.
Which we could have done. We could have just slapped a fertilizer label on it, had it be just incrementally a little bit cheaper, and shoot, we would have a bigger house by now.
We would have a house.
You should see our box, right? Double paned cardboard walls. I mean, they kept fantastic.
Oh yeah. To make this happen, okay, let's be fair, this is our growth year, and of course we're hopefully coming out of the worst, but to set this business up and make it as accessible as it is to farmers, we've put more money in than we've paid ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the industry. So that's the reality of the industry is that's how farmers are feeling, and we're not. That's exactly why we're doing what we're doing, is like we're feeling it too, because make it affordable for them is affecting us too.
Of course.
Yeah.
You guys are in it for the right reason. It's not just to line our pockets. It's not to prey off of or feed off the people who are feeding our planet. It is to make that difference. And I couldn't applaud you guys more for what you're doing. It's so necessary, and you're doing it the right way.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I would agree. I always take that perspective of it's better that we all suffer a little than some of us suffer a lot, and that includes the extractive services, so agribusinesses and all the pieces that go around as soon as you leave the farm gate. When we're all in it for the same reason and all feeling the same pinch point, we are better supporting of each other on a human level, right? And I think there's a lot of humanity still left in agriculture. It's what gets me out of bed every day, is the human factor.
It is.
Yeah. I agree with you.
It's a beautiful industry. It really is.
So you guys, you're working coast to coast right now. You've done a lot on. I know one thing. I have to go back. You were talking about trials. I run into a lot of producers right now, and that sort of get off of my farm. Oh, what kind of trials do you have to show me? Blah blah blah. It's just sort of, it rolls off the tongue, right? They don't really pay attention to it. You show them, they're like, yeah, okay, great. Where does that sit in terms of the number of trials you need to do to sort of validate yourselves, the ask for trial information and data, and just your own clout around collecting good data to continue to create better solutions and better protocols in the future? I'd love to hear some of that.
I mean, if you're working with us, we kind of expect you to share results back, and if that bothers you, then that's okay. You don't have to work with us. You can keep doing whatever it is that you're doing. Sorry, we like working with people that we like, and vice versa.
Yeah,
I think that's important to us. People don't really trust university data, shocker, in anywhere coast to coast, and there's for sure going to be exceptions in your group. That's great and fine, totally get it. But there's not that many exceptions we found. Real world farmers saying what happened is
the best.
Nothing is better than that. Nothing will beat that.
Yeah. So most of our data comes from independent farmers just doing the protocol and reporting back
Great.
to the best of their ability what they're tracking. We were always advocating for do a trial year one so you can have a side by side so you can see it. Except this year. This year, it's a pain point. It's a pain point. It's a matter of saving a farm in some cases.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is the amount of fertilizer I have. I gotta make it work 10 times more. So, but before year one, and then about were trials side by side, getting those data back, and then on year 3, they're pretty much developing their own protocols and going crazy with it.
That's when it gets fun.
It's when it gets fun. It's super simple. We're not trying to collect crazy things. I mean, just like, how much less nitrogen have you put down? What's your yield? Take a few photos of the crop before and after, during it, and you can see the difference. And they're coming with their own anecdotes of like what happened. Like I said before, the pasture guys were the first one that came back of like, hey, this is what we're noticing. And then they decided, oh, okay, I want to test my crop because I need to know what's happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're most of the times they're so excited that they just do tests and then send it back to us without us even asking.
That's great.
Like Chad said, we want to work with people that we want to work with. We're not begging for trials. We're not begging for data. We're not begging for you to come on board. Like we want to work with you because we're bringing you benefit and you want to work with us, and it's fun to work with you. We visit most of our farms eventually. We exchange our kids' photos and birthdays and stuff like that. We have a great relationship. We're not a big team. We're a small team. We're working hard for this. I don't know.
A lot of the times, the ones that are like standoffish, the most standoffish at first, like you were describing, end up becoming the biggest softies. But my personal belief is they've been so taken advantage of that they feel like they have to protect themselves, and I don't think that they're wrong, actually.
And we understand that.
And okay, I need to know you're not BS. I need to know that your crap actually works, and then pretty fair.
And then you're gonna follow through, not just drop off the product and leave.
Correct.
We are here. We are in touch with them. We remind them when they need to do something. We're trying to help, and we know that they're doing a lot. So we're trying to like carry that load for them too, and not just like, drop, walk off. 6 months later, hey, how did it go?
Right. Yeah, good luck to you guys. Packages in the mail. I want to say something that you guys were just making me think of. I spent some time recently with Peter Michelle Hillman, and he loves talking about the ROI versus the ROE, as he calls it. So a lot of these companies are so focused on the ROI for themselves, but his focus is, of course, there's nothing wrong with making money. The farmers need to make money. Every organization has to make money. But if you switch that focus over to the ROE, and we're looking at the world and the economy and all these things together, which is exactly what you guys are doing. You're in that fight. You're there for them. That trust may need to be earned, but when they see that you've got the ROE focus as opposed to ROI, that's really how you guys are going to continue just to win year after year.
So there was this company that lists a bunch of what do you call it? Like
products,
but
services.
Specifically microbials and as their focus. And I was talking to them, and they're like, we've signed up this many other companies like you this year. And I'm like, okay, like,
what does that data point
mean? Do people come and like visit you? It's just wild how people are ROE and not
ROI, not
there we go.
ROI. Yeah.
It's like, dude.
Yeah, you sign up all these companies. That's ROI for you.
Correct.
For us, and that's how we're doing these protocols. We're looking at it. The first thing we align on is the ROI on the farm, and then there's no ROI on trials on us. We actually spend more money to do all of that and to help them out, and all the time and focus this goes into that. And if they don't decide, because sometimes they're just trialing different things, and they come back year 3 and they're like, okay, nothing worked as well. So they come back year 3, right? But if they don't come back next year, then there's no ROI on us. We just spend a lot of time. So we are absolutely focused on the ROE.
Yeah. And I think the ROI focus is what's got us to this pain point that everybody's in worldwide. Just these companies making their money, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the health of that farm, not thinking about the health of the people eating the produce, all those different things. So it's totally that time for that shift to have that ROE. And that's why I think I mentioned this on one of the meetings that we had recently, you guys, was, I kind of collect amazing individuals into my life. That is like such a big focus for me. And when Peter Michelle was talking about the ROE, I was like, that's what I look for, not the person who just, that just wants to go buy the new Bentley for themselves or the new flashy whatever, but the people who genuinely have that focus on making the world a better place and including success of others in their vision. ROE. I love
Isn't it
it.
incredible that they decided that companies are they somehow related it to are like individuals and can sponsor political candidates because of that. That they have like the right to that identity or that individual voice.
Yeah.
But that responsibility is
Mm,
lip service at best.
It totally
yeah.
is. It totally
Yeah.
is. It's
Yeah,
partly
absolutely.
why Grow kind of came together was to create more sovereignty around, well, first and foremost data, but really avoidance of the ROI folk. Let's just continue to lean in on
Yeah.
that and really create community and the ROE.
Yeah.
On that note, and we're getting close to the end of time here, but there's two things I'd love to do. One, I'd love to invite you to, we have a community called Grow School. It's a bunch of producers and agro champions, I call them, people that are really advocating. I'd love for you to join. It's free, and share a little bit about your company and some of the things, and have the engage with producers on there, because I think there's a community there that would be very interested. And then second, as we're nearing the end here, I'd love to just give you a bit of a platform to talk about, where can producers find you? Where do they reach out to you? You're coast to coast. Are you working through outlets? Are you doing farm agents? How is it that they can find you and start engaging with you?
So we are all around the country. We don't have a lot of like resellers, stuff like that, or like in shops, especially when it comes to growers and commercial farming. We like to work, at this point we still like to work directly, because we want to ensure that everyone gets the right recommendation, the right protocol, the right product, that we can help them out. And it's really hard with a third party if it's not the right person or the right company. It's hard to ensure that. We do have some partners, but we're very selective of that. So going directly to us would be the best. You can find us. We have a website. It's called TeraGanix, TeraGanix.com. Coming in there, you might fill up a form, give us a little bit of your farm information, and then based on that, we'll quickly see where you fall into and who's the best person to call you, because we have different experts for different crops, solutions, if you have cattle, livestock, and so on. So that's one thing. You can follow us on social media, TeraGanix on Facebook, TeraGanix on Instagram, LinkedIn. We post a lot there about the background, what we're doing, the team, what's new. We have some live workshops about, right now, the nitrogen reduction.
Perfect.
Was the hot one for like 2-3 months. So we have live workshops, presentations where you can sign up, and we tell you about the protocols twice a week. We have a new thing. We have a new thing coming like all of the time, and there's going to be live workshops about that. So you get all the information there. And then YouTube for some deep dives. You can see farm testimonials, farm podcasts. With guys that have been doing it for years with us, and like their advice. We invite other companies that they're doing some things maybe better than us, and we're like, hey, we're recommending them if you want to do this. Like-minded people, just deep dives into things, and just like raising awareness, educational. You can go on YouTube. Do we have anything else than that?
Nah, I mean, like the socials, email, all of the things. If you're in the Southeast, especially Amanda and her team, like we are working closely with them, and it's kind of custom solutions over there, especially. And yeah, if you join our socials, we're trying to do fun things like comic strips and just be more into.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a different tone on a different channel, depending on.
If you're not having fun with it, what are you doing here? People are just constantly trying to sell you on things, and it's like.
Correct.
Yeah, we're a fun team, and we also debate controversial things that others don't want to have opinion on. We're very opinionated.
Good.
Stay that way.
Conviction.
Sometimes you get a backlash, especially on Facebook. You know, commenting on Facebook can be really rough sometimes, but you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, and we're gonna be authentic.
Yeah. One of
That's right.
our core beliefs is that the powers that be, the goal is to own nothing and rent everything is the agenda.
Yeah, we're big on that one, you know.
And I think why Amanda likes us so much is because we talked about that and she's like, I know.
Yeah, there's multiple reasons that you guys are like my soul spirit friends and will forever be. But no, you
So
guys do it the right way.
End game is to empower operators to do things profitably, healthy, not die, not hurt other people. They already want that. All of you guys already want that. So increase the profitability there. And then our long-term goal is to help bring up and empower a new generation and make land ownership and acquiring your guys' farm someday. Because who's going to acquire your farm at the price it is right now? Nobody. And
Data center.
It's a freaking data center.
And data centers, yeah.
Our goal is to stand right in the freaking middle of it with people like Neil and Amanda.
Yeah. And we do believe that farming, agriculture is the base for humanity and society. And if we see patterns and if we see how it's affecting each other, we're going to talk about it. You know, somebody might say, stay in your lane.
That's right.
That is our lane.
That is the lane.
That is
Perfect.
why we're here. Like, those things go hand in hand. Like, you can't have societal issues without farming and vice versa. Like, they affect each other. And we here advocate for land and for farmers and for the land to stay in farmers' hands. And it's important that we talk about things beyond just what fertilizer you're using.
Correct.
Amazing.
Well, you guys are awesome. That's all right. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I was going to indicate the same thing. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure I could stay on for another hour. It just means we're going to have another conversation in the near future here. There's so much I want to explore. But you all heard it here first on Pasture Prime Time. Tjasa, Chad, thank you so much for taking some of your afternoon to share with us your story and some of the things that you're doing. We're going to put all the links below here in the googly goo, so make sure that you look below the podcast. We're on all the mediums. And if you have any comments or questions, certainly put them into the chat here or reach out to us directly and we'll put you directly in touch with Tjasa and Chad. Until next time, everyone. We'll catch you on Pasture Prime Time. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.